So welcome to number 3, our basic data management in Excel. Number 3 talks about the analysis of data of a database within Excel using filters, basically. In the previous videos, we saw how to deal with Excel and how to build up all the analysis rows here, where we talked about the mean, the sum, the count, the minimum, the maximum. That was what we did up to now. There's also the information, a standard deviation here, and what will be interesting later in the class is about the confidence intervals, the lower limit and the upper limit of the confidence interval. But these 3 rows, 8 to 10, we are not going to refer to now. We saw that the basic information, the most important information we want to have is the mean. The mean gives us, for the dummy variables, the percentage, and you see that in this table that is called data, it has been formatted in a way that you see percent here. Now, whereas if we go to variable 10 or variable 11, this is not a percentage, it's between 1 and 10 and 1 and 9. This is how, if you're not a citizen of Bremen, how long are you going to stay? On average, 1.68 days or 2.06 nights. So this is the information that we can get from this. The first possibility that we discussed in class to get some information about the data here in Excel is to use a filter. A filter is typically applied to the top row that gives us the label. So this row number 12, contains all the labels, and if we want to filter, we can use this part here in the menu, or in the ribbon as it's called, in the home ribbon, which is called sort and filter. If I open this, there are possibilities to sort and there is the possibility to filter. And when I click on filter, what the system adds are these small drop-down boxes. So we jump to the end of the data, so let us press the home button again to be at home. And what we see here is now we have the possibility to select some things here. If I go to V1, as you saw, I can say I want to select. Here everything is selected, but I could change that. By the way, as we also discussed in class, for example, this 28 here could be produced with the function mean, but the function mean doesn't respond to a filter. So if you click on that field, you see that what I used is subtotal 1. Subtotal 1 is the same as mean. Here we have subtotal 9, this brings us a count, subtotal 2, that brings 9 brings us a sum, 2 brings us a count, and so on. If you want to know what the subtotal functions are, you could either, of course, refer to the help. The easiest way is to just click in an empty cell, enter subtotal, so say equal subtotal, and then click on the function. No, I'm sorry, that wasn't what I wanted. Equal subtotal, and double click on subtotal. And here you get the information. So 1 is average, 2 is count of numbers, 3 is count of anything, maximum, minimum. Nobody knows why they did it in this sequence. Product, standard deviation, and sum and variance. So these are the possibilities, and there are more that you can use the function subtotal for. So here what I use here is subtotal, minimum, maximum, standard deviation. This is all subtotal, and the idea is now I can filter and say I only want to see those people that answered yes in variable 1, so I'm here today because of advertisements. If I do this, I say, okay, do not select everything, but only select 1. You can observe that the percentages change. On the one hand, I have to make this a bit bigger, 100% now, of course, that doesn't make sense. I filtered them saying there has to be a 1, so 100% answered 1. But the percentage here changed, especially the percentage in V3. I came because of personal recommendations. Those who came because of advertisements, or out of those, the percentage that came because of personal recommendation is much is smaller. So this is a possibility of filtering the data. Normally, I undo this. Normally, it's not that I take one variable that gives me an answer for the filtering, but I do it the other way around. I take some category like, for example, the age again. Where is my age group? Over here. The average age is 53.13. Now I could, for example, say what is the average age in the group from 20 to 29. I could do this and say, okay, those who are 20 to 29 on average are 25.1. And out of this relatively young group of customers, 78% are women. These people go to the Kunsthalle Bremen. Wait a moment, what is that? In the V90s. Go to the Kunsthalle Bremen. That variable V87, 3.5 times, and go to other exhibitions 5.3 times, the young people. Let's compare this with all our age groups, for example. All age groups, in fact, visit less exhibitions, 3.3 and 4. Let's stick to this, 4.02. If we analyze the older age groups, let's say I want to select the people 60 and older, we see that this is basically on average, so they do not visit that many as the young people. So that's the possibility, that's the filtering that we discussed in class, and don't forget to sort of remove the filter after you did an analysis. All people are on average 52.13. If I only want to know this, the average age for female, you see they're a bit younger, 51.26, and there are 1,354 women. And using it the other way around, looking at male, you see there are only 609 male, and they are somewhat older. They are nearly 55 on average. And this is the possibility to analyze data using the filtering possibility. You see that when you compare these drop-down fields, here it's just a small triangle, and here you see that this filter is active. So when I go there, I can remove these filters, or I can here say clear the filter, and then all the observations are back there again. Basically, that was what we discussed about filtering, about analyzing data in the big data table within Excel. Please recall you have to use the subtotal function. It doesn't work if I had mean here. Mean would also produce the 52.13. We could do this briefly. We could say this is equal to mean of the area, and no, it doesn't work now because it's not called mean, it's called average. Of that area would produce the 52.13 as well. But if I now filter for gender and I say I only want to see the 600 male, it would still give us 52.13, which is not true. The 52.13 is for all the observations, for the more than 2,000 observations. That's why you should not use average, you should use mean. So I undo some of the things here using Control Z or using that button. Let me go back to using subtotal and knowing that this is really only for all of the observations. So that should be enough of this number 3, filtering data.